don't want to say I have a thing for characters with trauma, but it's really looking like I do. Hello my fellow weebs, my name is Bianca and this is my weeby YouTube channel. You read the title of the video, so let's just get into it. Yes, it's true. I'm a simp. Or at least I think I am. I feel like this term has been so overly used, especially within the last year, that it's basically lost its meaning. For example, some see the word as a horrible insult, others see it as more of a harmless and playful term. Personally, I fall on the latter camp because when I use it to describe my feelings towards fictional characters and not real people. This video is intended to be fun and lighthearted. Like, I'm basically just gonna expose myself because I'm gonna be talking about anime characters I blindly love and worship regardless of their actions. I'm putting myself out there so you can completely judge and roast my taste. Anyway, let's get started. Now, these characters are in no particular order, but I think I should start with the obvious ones. So, number 1, Gojo Sataru. Did you see that one coming? You might have if you saw that video where I read a bunch of spicy Gojo fanfics. This should surprise no one. He is currently my number 1. He is the man I am simping for the hardest, and I have been ever since I met him in October. That's when I binge read all of Jujutsu Kaisen, and it was love at first sight. I feel like we are all collectively simping for Gojo Sataru. Yes, he's an ass. Yes, he's arrogant, but I'm into it. Now, by me saying that, I don't want you to draw some weird conclusions. In anime or in fiction, when a character is an asshole or arrogant, there's usually a reason. Like, maybe his family was slaughtered by demons, or maybe he's the most powerful human alive. Like, if that happens, of course you're gonna be an ass, of course you're gonna be arrogant, but in reality, if they're an asshole, there's no deeper meaning. They're just an asshole, so steer clear. But if he's fictional, simp. I know Gojo isn't a good guy, wouldn't be a good romantic partner. Like, I think even the mangaka of Jujutsu Kaisen doesn't really like him. I think they prefer Nanami over Gojo. More on Nanami later. But I can't help simping. There's so much that makes Gojo. Like, it's the looks, it's the being overpowered, so overpowered you're considered a god amongst men. It's the humor. Yes, he'd be a dick, but he'd make you laugh. Like, all of that combined just makes Gojo, and I stood no chance. I know if I existed in the Jujutsu Kaisen world, I'm not even gonna say if he existed in real life, because if he existed in real life, I would not know. But if I existed in the Jujutsu Kaisen world, I know that he would have no interest in me whatsoever. I know that he would sacrifice me in a heartbeat. I know that he would break my heart intentionally, but I would still say thank you. He can do no wrong. I love this man. Next up, the other obvious man I am simping for, Levi Ackerman. I feel like everyone has been simping over him since 2013 when the Attack on Titan anime first premiered. He is the GOAT, he is badass, he is our short king. I love him. Unlike Gojo, I feel like he would be a genuinely nice person to me if I were in the Attack on Titan world. Like, I'm pretty lazy and messy sometimes, so he'd hate that about me, but like, he wouldn't want to kill me, you know? So that's good. He's amazing. Whenever he does his little twirling thing with the blade, whenever he kicks ass, my heart skips a beat. I feel like that's all I need to say. Well, no, actually, I want to add thank you, Mappa, because you picked up the Attack on Titan anime and you are currently giving me and everyone else more Levi. Next, we have Mr. from the Promised Neverland. So I was going to put his name, but if you read the manga, you know his name. If you're watching the anime, you probably will never learn his name because the Promised Neverland anime is just doing its own thing and not following the manga for some reason. His name reveal is a pretty big thing, so I'm not going to spoil it here. Go read the manga to meet him, and so you could simp over him too. So without spoiling too much, Mr. is a man that the kids come across. As soon as I saw him for the first time, I just knew. I don't know why, but whenever you have a dark-haired character who's very pessimistic and cynical, and you know, they've kind of lost hope because of some horrendous event that happened to them, I simp. I stood no chance. I saw it coming. I knew it was happening. He's a great character, and I'm really sorry for those of you just watching the anime because you're probably not gonna meet him. Maybe, I don't know. Next up is Laurent Thierry. Would it really be a video of mine if I didn't mention Great Pretender or anything relating to Great Pretender? Laurent Thierry, he is in The Great Pretender, an anime I have pushed onto you multiple times, so I hope you've watched it because I'm going to be a little looser with the details here. Laurent Thierry was someone I didn't think I was gonna simp for. Like, it took me a while. He is a womanizer type character, and when it comes to those types of characters, they can either be really fun or they can kind of be really douchey. At first I was unsure where Laurent was gonna fall, but then we find out that not only is he a fun womanizer, but he is a womanizer with a tragic and angsty romantic past. I was all in. Like, it's not just the tragedy and the angstiness that got me, but he's also a really good person, even though sometimes it's really hard to believe he is because he's just so over the top. But he's a good person. He's funny, he's French. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I took French for 3 years in high school, so there's a connection there. By the end of Great Pretender, I was rooting for this man. I wanted him to get everything he wanted, which included like revenge. And you know, usually we're like, no, don't get revenge, it's bad. The best thing you could do is move on. But here I was like, no, get your revenge. Get your revenge, Laurent. I'm not gonna say whether or not he did or did not, so you're gonna have to watch The Great Pretender to find out. But he's amazing. I love him. And hopefully we get a season 2 so I can simp even more for Laurent. Next up we have Shota Ayazawa. Now, My Hero Academia has been around for a while, and I wasn't the biggest fan of Ayazawa from like season 1. I know a lot of people really liked him and, you know, like fell in love with him, but I was just like, why is everyone thirsting over this man who sleeps in a sleeping bag and is just being all weird? I didn't understand that. Flash forward a couple years, and in 2020 I actually read Vigilantes, which is the spin-off manga of My Hero Academia, and in that spin-off manga we got to learn more about Ayazawa's backstory, and it was tragic, so I started simping. Ugh. There is something seriously wrong with me. But after reading that and just rewatching the entirety of the anime, I was just like, oh my god, Ayazawa, I can see why everyone's been in love with you from the beginning. He is amazing. He's such a great character. He's such a great teacher. Like, he loves his students. Oh, Dad Zawa for the win! He's really like best dad. He cares for his students so much. Yes, he's hard on them, but he's hard on them for a reason. And I feel like once you know his backstory and you know like what he's been through, it makes sense. Like, he's pushing them because he wants them to be strong, because he knows the reality of being a hero. And it's not just like the glitz, the glitter, the fame. It's also like, you watch people die, not just civilians, but people you know, people you care about, and that's tough. That is hard. And I also love how, even though he's part of this type of hero society, he still questions it, he still judges it, he still thinks it's wrong in some ways. Because hero society, attending UA, didn't really make him a better hero. Like, he had to work on that himself. Like, he had to elevate his quirk. Hero society didn't think his quirk was useful, but Ayazawa made it useful. So I love Ayazawa. Oh, we have more My Hero Academia characters. So next up is Hawks. Hawks was another character that it took me a while to realize that I was simping for. A lot of people simped for Hawks from the beginning. I mean, he's Hawks, he looks like that. But I was kind of like, okay, you're a little too shady. In the past, I was like, he's a shady bitch, but he's hot. Now I'm like, you know what? It's fine if he's shady and hot. I love him. I love him. I'm just thinking about it, and I think the reason I began to trust Hawks more and therefore like actually simp for him was because I learned more about his tragic backstory. I don't want to say I have a thing for characters with trauma, but it's really looking like I do. Speaking of characters with trauma, next up, Dabi. Dabi, wow. He's messy. 2020 was really his year. He had, I'd say, like the best moments in the My Hero Academia manga. I don't really know why I simp for him. It could be the tragedy. It could be because he's kind of iconic, but he's also really crazy. Like really crazy. But there's a reason, and I sympathize with him. Of course I simp for this dark-haired man who burns people alive. Like, of course I do. Wow, I really need to unpack a lot. Next up, we have someone who is not messy, who's not a murderer, who is a decent human being. Hatori Soma. This man is my love. I have been simping for him since I watched Fruits Basket about 8 years ago. I loved him then, and I love him now. He's made me cry, he's made me laugh. I love him, he deserves the world. I was gonna say that he's very different from the other characters, especially the ones I've already talked about, but there's also trauma sprinkled into his life. Trauma that has hurt me just as much as it's hurt him. I just really love him. And again, it's due to the trauma. Oh. Okay, so let's move on to a character that coincidentally does not have a traumatic past, but he's just an arrogant asshole. So, Gilgamesh. I know, but listen, yes, he wanted to kill millions of people. Yes, he did kind of kill a lot of people because of what he did at the end of Fate Zero. But he's hot. If Gilgamesh so bad, why he looks so hot in that gold armor? Okay, when it comes to Gilgamesh, I'm only simping when he's showing off his power. When he's just kind of like lounging and like not even lifting a finger but still like destroying everyone. Like, I love that. But when Gilgamesh is in like his white shirt with the snake print pants, I don't know. I'm just like, ooh. But when he's in the gold armor, I simp. He just looks so good in it, you know, like he looks regal as he's supposed to. He looks all-powerful as he's supposed to. He could be trying to do the most horrible things and I'm still there rooting for him. What is wrong with me? The next two I'm just going to talk about together because they're the same, kind of. Lancer from Fate Zero and Lancer from Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. So I'm just going to get it out of the way. One, they're both hot. I stood no chance. Two, the qualities that they displayed just made me simp harder. Like, for example, first Lancer from Fate Zero was very loyal. Too loyal. I always believed that he wanted to be loyal, and when people questioned his loyalty, when people said he wasn't loyal, I felt so bad for him, and I was like, no, he is loyal. He's so loyal. He was also very honorable, and I feel like those are just very attractive qualities. And the second Lancer also shares the same qualities. Not so much loyalty. I mean, I'd say he's loyal to himself and to his own morals, but he's very honorable. Unlike the first Lancer from Fate Zero, who was very loyal, and I'd say loyal to a fault, the second Lancer wasn't afraid to disobey his master, wasn't afraid to go off on his own. Also, when he slapped Shinji around for being a creepy little ugh, that was amazing and it made me simp harder. Well, I actually have one more Fate character, Archer from Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. Why do I simp for Archer? So I simped from the beginning because he's hot. This man is so hot. Like, look at him. He's very attractive. But then as the season progressed, we learn his true backstory, his very angsty backstory, and I just fell harder. Again, I don't think I need to repeat how much I guess I'm into characters who are angsty and who have suffered traumatic things in their past for some reason, but I am. Next up is Daisuke Kambe. So I've actually talked a little bit about my feelings towards Daisuke Kambe in a previous video, but basically at first I wasn't the biggest fan of Daisuke because he was just a rich asshole, and rich assholes, even in anime or in fiction, just aren't my fave. You already know what happened. They sprinkled in some trauma, they sprinkled in some daddy issues, and I simped. Daisuke Kambe really turned it around, and he's still kind of an ass, he's still kind of a rich ass, but I know he's a good person inside. And finally, we have Kento Nanami. Where do I even begin with this man? The mangaka of Jujutsu Kaisen prefers Kento over Gojo, and that of course makes sense because, like we stated previously, Gojo is an arrogant asshole. Kento is not. I would trust this man with my life. I would trust this man with my heart. I know he would never hurt me. Never. He might be a little bit blunt sometimes, but I know everything that comes out of his mouth comes from the heart. He's a good man. He is the best man. He is a man above men. He's amazing. I absolutely love him. He's the best. So, of course, I simp. And that is it for today's video. I'm sure you've learned a lot about me, just as I've kind of come to terms with a lot about myself. I will be unpacking all of this. Not soon, but maybe someday. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, to subscribe, comment whatever you want down below. Judge me, roast me. I encourage you to do so. And that's it. So I will see you next time with another video. Bye!